All right, today I want to talk to you about this new book, which is hot off the presses. It is this one. It is a white book written by a white person whose name was White. This is my review of Types and Symbols' latest edition of Steps to Christ. Welcome back. If we haven't met before, I'm Matthew. This is Peoria Adventist, a channel all about showing Seventh-day Adventism to internet people. That means talking about what Adventists believe, showing what our church in Peoria is up to. Now, Steps to Christ is one of the most widely translated and read religious books in history, and it's no surprise that Types and Symbols, that design outfit behind the majestic, conflict, beautiful series, which we've reviewed before on this channel, should eventually turn their attention to Steps to Christ. This is part of their new Light in Life collection. It's a series of 3 books, including Steps to Christ, Christ's Object Lessons, and Thoughts from the Mount of Blessings, all Ellen White books. And this, in particular, is the new sharing edition of Steps to Christ. Okay, the Light in Life collection, it's a nice, premium collection of books, just like Conflict Beautiful. This, on the other hand, is a less expensive softcover version of the Steps to Christ that's part of that boxed set. And that's fine with me, because cheaper books, which can be given away by church members, are incredibly important. Now, in the past, sharing books usually meant cutting costs on paper, ink, and design, all in the name of being able to print books as cheaply as possible for wide distribution. Now, the larger books that Ellen White wrote, like Great Controversy and Desire of Ages, were often abridged and retitled, which raises some problems like what do you cut out and what do you keep? Because you can make any book sound very different based on what you cut out and what you keep. What's more, those sharing books often felt cheap. Like, you're telling me that you care about me and that this book you're giving me contains these deep spiritual truths that I need to hear, but the book you hand me looks and feels like garbage. So, now listen, you may look at it differently, but the fact is, people care about design today. If something is really important, it should look and feel like it's really important, okay? Don't send mixed signals. Design matters as much as content. Now, poor design doesn't pay off in the end. Bad design, I believe, ages faster than good design. I remember having a Steps to Christ with this cover featuring a painting from Harry Anderson called Prince of Peace. And this painting showed Jesus knocking on the United Nations building in New York City. The painting is meaningful, right? We all get what Harry Anderson is trying to say in this painting. Jesus is trying to get world leaders' attention to bring peace to this place. But for a book cover, the colors of the painting are rather drab. I mean, the yellow car there at the bottom lets anyone not living in the 1960s know that this painting is from yesteryear, right? Car designs age very quickly. And then there's the actual image. A giant white Jesus is knocking on a skyscraper. I mean, can you imagine being inside the UN if this actually happened? This would scare me to death. It is terrifying. Which is something the lovely people on the internet picked up on when they began referring to him as Kaijujesus. Harry Anderson was a talented artist, no doubt. But even talented art can be part of a bad design. And more recently, Amazing Facts came out with a new Desire of Ages. It only costs $3.95, which is super cheap. And the cover, it isn't terrible, but it isn't what anybody would call good. It's just a collection of white Jesus stock photos arranged around another stock photo, kind of like a Book of Mormon with pictures. Now, of course, quality design isn't cheap. It takes time, it takes talent, and this is why Types and Symbols' books cost so much money. So we kind of had this bifurcated Adventist book market as pertains to these Ellen White books. At the top end was Types and Symbols' beautiful and expensive edition of these books. And in the middle and in the bottom were the kind of the normal blah, 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 blah editions of these books. So, you know, a pastor or a really engaged member, they might own and enjoy the Conflict Beautiful. But what is that pastor or that elder going to do? Order 100 sets of it to share with people? You know, just hand it out willy-nilly? No! He's going to put his or her nicely designed version down on their bookshelf, and then they're going to go grab the poorly designed and cheaper versions to give away with regret, I might add. And that's why this new, hold on, let me get it, sharing edition, which side is up? This side is up. That's why this new sharing edition of Steps to Christ is such a big deal to me. It features great design, and it's cheap-ish. Oh, look, I mean, you can still get 100 copies of Amazing Facts of Steps to Christ for 89 cents a piece, whereas 100 copies of this bad boy are going to cost you $8 a piece, okay? And if you order 1,000 copies from Amazing Facts, you can drive that price down to 65 cents a piece. So 65 cents, $8. You can still get editions of this that are 12 times cheaper. By the way, this seems like a good time to add that I absolutely love how Types and Symbols lets you know how many copies you need to order in order to reach the next price break in the cart on their website. It's fantastic. Anyways, this book represents good design becoming affordable and shareable. That's why I'm so excited about this edition of Steps to Christ. Look, all design ages. If time should last, this one's going to look a little pale at some point. But if it's designed well, then it will age well. And this is important. Again, in an age where people are increasingly aware of good and bad design, you have mega super hit podcasts like 99% Invisible as proof that the design consciousness is on the rise. And given the fact that churches don't change their strategies very often, I mean, like they tend to kind of get excited, buy a bunch of stuff, and then it lasts a while, then it's likely that whatever books they purchase today will last a while. And thus, it's important to have sharing books that age well. Now, some of you might be wondering, has anything inside this book changed? Is it just a pretty new cover and layout? And the answer is, yeah, pretty much. As with the Conflict Beautiful, Types and Symbols updated the biblical text, the references in here, from the King James to the New King James whenever the King James was deemed to be unclear. If Ellen White really relies upon a key word in the King James, then they'll keep it. But the page numbers, of course, are different as well. But Types and Symbols, like many other people who have made editions of Steps to Christ, made sure to include the original page numbers in the margin. So if you're part of a group discussion, you can easily find the page that they're talking about. Finally, each chapter has a summary at the beginning designed to start a discussion, right? What's this chapter about? What are the highlights? What are some things we can talk about? Otherwise, it's still the same book it always was. It's just, in my opinion, more enjoyable to read. Now that leads me to talk about the differences between this Types and Symbols sharing edition and the blue 125th anniversary edition published by Andrews University Press. Now, both of these books cost within a few dollars of each other, so there might be a tendency to compare them. But let me tell you, these are two very different editions of Steps to Christ. I'd characterize this blue anniversary edition as more of a commemorative edition of Steps to Christ. I don't know if you can see it. It's got this wonderful gold page border, page edging, whatever you call it. And maybe I might even call it a study version as well, because Denis Fortin's 67-page historical introduction remains the most insightful and helpful introduction ever written by an Ellen White book, or about an Ellen White book, especially Steps to Christ. So this cloth cover, the gold page edges, all of that is fantastic. Its study notes are great. But the layout of the blue book isn't as good, in my opinion, as Types and Symbols' edition. The anniversary edition is also just busier overall. There's a lot more going on in each page. And Types and Symbols is cleaner, has wider margins for notes, and in my opinion, it has better font choices. I do like that the anniversary edition has a larger typeface, making it, in my opinion, a little more readable, or helping it be more readable. And if I could knock Types and Symbols' edition for anything, it's the fact that their light gray text can be difficult to read. And, you know, for some reason, it seems like the black ink in here isn't truly black. I'm not a printer. It kind of feels like somebody hit the opacity to 90% black rather than 100% black. And so it's just a little bit lighter than black. Now, the point is these are two very different editions of Steps to Christ. The anniversary edition is, as I said, a good collector's edition or study volume. The Types and Symbols edition is, well, obviously geared toward sharing. Now, as I finish this up, I noticed that Types and Symbols just announced a new gift edition of Steps to Christ. So I guess I'm going to have to talk about that. It does come with this beautiful dust jacket You can choose your own quote to appear on the dust jacket. There's even a custom gift edition where you can add a church name or logo or your own quote to the dust jacket. And those custom ones will run you about $50 a piece in low volume. So hence it's a gift edition for graduations or baptisms or whatever. And so they now have, Types and Symbols now have a really compelling line of Steps to Christ. They have this sharing edition that starts at $10, and in bulk you can get down to $8 a piece. The gift edition starts at $24 and goes up if you want to customize it. And then you have the full Light and Life set of 3 books, including Steps to Christ, for $100. Now, the only thing they aren't offering is something like AU Press's Anniversary Edition as a kind of study version of the book. And that's fine, because I think we've got all the bases covered between these 2 copies of Steps to Christ. And when I get the gift edition, which I ordered, I'll let you know what I think of it. Now a disclaimer. Types and Symbols isn't paying me to review this book, nor do they ask me to, nor do they even know I'm doing this. The Peoria Church bought this, and I think this is the new book we're going to give out for baptisms. Well, at least until we get the gift edition. At least we'll use it for sharing with people, because it's awesome. It's pretty sweet. You can pick up a copy if you want. I'll include a link to it below. And, if you get it, let me know what you think. I'd love to know. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.